Welcome to our class on elasticity. We'll look at what elasticity is all about, the demand function and its application, the types of elasticity being on-price elasticity, cross-price elasticity, income elasticity, and also the impact it has on revenue. And we'll also look at the example that we have in the exam paper. So we've heard of this term elasticity. What is elasticity in your own terms? How do you define elasticity? Anyone?
I can I can try.
Okay.
I think this has to do with the behavior or the response from I don't know the term to use, but it's basically the response that is there as a result of change in price.
Okay. So it is a response that or behavior that we as consumers have when there are changes in price. It's a sensitivity that comes about because of the changes in price. How do we react when there's a price increase, when there's an income increase, okay, on the variables of demand. So in economics, we know it's best about the understanding of how people make choices under scarcity. So people become so sensitive when they have enough or abundance. So when there is not enough, we know that according to the law of demand, um, you demand less of a particular commodity. So there are different factors that affect demand. But here today we're looking at the concept of elasticity, which looks at the key aspect of responsiveness, how strongly consumers will react to changes in the factors of demand like price, income, and other related responses. So what do you do, for instance, if you hear that Coca-Cola, the price has increased? Automatically you switch to Pepsi, assuming that they taste the same. So this is what we call cross-price elasticity. It is a kind of behavior where you ask a question to say, how much of Coke will I buy if the price of Pepsi has gone up or down? Then also in terms of um, what you may buy in a house, if the income for the breadwinner, who's the father or mother, increases, how much more fresh juice are you going to buy instead of powdered mixes? So this is called income elasticity. It brings in about the income effect. We also have what happens when you're dealing with a particular commodity, the price of bread. If you're always buying bread and the price of bread has gone down, if you're always buying maybe scones, 5 scones per day, and the price of scone has halved, okay, you buy more, double. That is called on-price elasticity. So the fundamental application is what we want to look at here. So there's what we call on-price elasticity of demand and cross-price elasticity of demand. So on-price elasticity of demand basically measures the responsiveness um, that you and I have due to changes in the particular commodity. Okay, that is called on-price elasticity. It looks at what? The responsiveness that comes about because of changes in its own price. So elasticity of demand or on-price elasticity is simply the percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. So elasticity of demand has ranges between 0 and 1. Okay, on the negative side, elasticity of demand is always negative because a relationship between demand and price is what? Inverse. So between -1 and 1, we call this inelastic. Anything starting with um 0 point something, it is inelastic. If you have exactly 1, we call that unit elastic. If you have more than 1, we call that elastic. So to be elastic means to be sensitive. So percentage change in quantity is simply Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 times 100. Percentage change in price is a difference in price. P2 minus P1 over P1 times 100. That's the percentage change. So all answers for elasticity are negative. So if the price in fuel increase from 10 kwacha, for instance, to 15 kwacha, automatically, according to the law of demand, you expect the quantities to reduce maybe from 100 liters, maybe they'll go to how many liters? 50 liters, for instance. Instead of buying 100 liters, you're going to buy 50 liters. So what is elasticity of demand and comment on it? So using this formula, what are we going to have? Elasticity of demand is equal to what? Q2, which is 50 minus what? 100 over 100, right? Times 100. So on top, we're going to have negative 50%. Then below, what are we going to have? P2 is what? 15 minus 10 over 10 times 100. So here we're going to have, what are we going to have? 5 over 10, so is half, 50% also, positive. So 50% divided by 50%, what are we getting? Negative 1. So when elasticity is negative 1, what is our comment? It is unitary, it is unit elastic. All together. So elasticity of demand is elastic. So elasticity of demand has three formulas. Sometimes you just calculate the elasticity of demand as B times price over quantity. This is when Q is subject to a formula. Okay, any questions so far? Any questions? Is that clear? Okay, so if quantity in terms of demand is equal to 100 minus 2p as your function, and you're told that your price, for instance, has been given, for instance, is 3 kwacha. So we know that demand is given, this is called the direct demand. It's given as A minus BQ, BP. So the B is simply the letter that comes, the number that comes before the letter. So our B in this case is what? Negative 2. Then since P has been given as 3, we want to calculate the value of Q. So where there's P, we put what? Number 3. So 10 minus 6, which is equal to 4. So we go to this formula now here. Elasticity of demand is equal to B, which is what? Negative 2 times price, which is what? 3 over quantity, which is what? 4. And put a 1 there if you want. So this is -6/4. So elasticity of demand in this case would be 1.5 negative. So 1.5 negative. What is your comment? Elasticity of demand is elastic. Demand elasticity is elastic. Are we together? So elasticity is elastic. Okay. So this is when we're dealing with a direct demand. If you're dealing with an inverse demand, this is when Q is subject to a formula. When P is subject to a formula, the formula changes a bit. Elasticity of demand is simply equal to B 1 over B times price over quantity. It's called the inverse demand. Everything is the same except that B is inverse. Anything 1 over something is inverse. So for instance, a given P is equal to 10 or 100 minus 5Q. We are told that our Q here is 10. So our B is simply the number that comes before the letter, which is -5. And our P is when we substitute this Q in here since we've been given. So 100 minus 50 is 50. So P will be 50. We substitute there. So what formula are we using? This one here, the inverse demand. So 1 over -5 times price over quantity. The price is 50 and quantity is what? 10. So when you multiply there, we're going to have positive 50 over -50 down. So when you divide that, you're going to get -1. So elasticity of demand is unit elastic. So these are the three ways in which elasticity comes. The direct demand is given in point form. So elasticity has three levels. We have what we call on-price elasticity, which we are just talking about. We have what we call income elasticity of demand, and we also have what we call cross-price elasticity of demand. So we've talked about the first part, which is price elasticity of demand, the interpretation and how we calculate. Then now we go to what is called income elasticity of demand. Any question? Okay, so we're looking at the second part, which is income elasticity of demand. So income effect comes about when you understand that with increase in income, you either buy more of a good or less of a good. So the types of goods you're going to have is either an inferior good or a normal good. If you're getting a negative answer, it's called an inferior good. Income is denoted by the letter what? Y. So if you have less than 0, it is called an inferior good. An example of an inferior good is a second-hand clothes, black and white TV, something you desire less of when you have money. Then a positive is a normal good when elastic demand is more than 1. It's a normal good. When you exceed 1, it is called a luxurious good. Aircon, luxurious Ferrari. Okay, what you enjoy in the normal, you become extraordinary. So elasticity of income is the responsiveness of demand in quantity due to changes in what? In your income. The formula is just the same, we're just changing the bottom part here. So if your income of one good, you're getting 100 kwacha. Now you're getting what? 400 kwacha. So meaning you're buying more of a good that you're consuming. You're consuming good 150 units. Now you're consuming that good to 100 units. So already you're able to tell that this is what? A normal good because you're increasing. If your income increased from 100 to 200 and your income is reducing from 50 to 25, just know that is an inferior good. So whenever you're buying more, it's a normal good. So using that, we just want to know that it is a luxury or it is a normal good. So change in income. So 200 minus 100 over 100 times 100. So this is going to give us 100%. Then below, this is what? 100 minus 50 over 50 times 100. So this is also 100%. So 100% of 100%, this is 1. So positive 1. So this is a normal good. Okay, it's a normal good. All right. So if it increased from 100 units to 150 units, so down there would be 150 minus 100, 150 minus 50 over 50. So they're going to get what? 100 over 50, which is 2. So 2 into 200 into 100, that will be 0.5. So to be 0.5, it's still a normal good. But if it went to 50 to 75, you get 1.5. It is a normal good, but a luxurious good. So I hope you get the idea here. All right. So a normal good is a good that you demand more of as your income goes up. Then we go to another type of good, which we call a substitute good. So substitute goods comes about from what we call cost price elasticity. So competing goods are called what? Substitute goods. Complementary goods are called complementary goods. Car and fuel, these are complementing. Coke and Sprite is a substitute goods. So we use XY. So this is one elasticity that is jealous. It first considers how the other good is faring. It's a competing. So uh, percentage change in quantity demanded of good X over percentage change in price. In what? In price of good X, Y. So it's moving and crossing from two individuals. Okay. So if you get a negative, it is called a complementary good. If you get a positive, you get a substitute good. So these are the two dimensions. So you can have a multilinear equation of good X, which is given by maybe 10 minus 2px plus 3py plus 10m income. So when you're given that the price of good X is 1 kwacha, maybe price of good Y is 2 kwacha, and your income is 5 kwacha. So you can tell firstly that these are competing goods because they have different signs. If there was negative here and negative here, you say they're complementing. You can also tell that this is a what? A normal good because the sign that is there on the income is positive. So a positive always gives you a normal good. That is just by sight. But you can still calculate this to get the actual readings. So 10 minus 2px, where there's x, you put 1. Where there's py, you put 2, because we're given the price of y. Then income, we're going to put a what? A 5 there, so that you calculate the annual demand. So this will be 10 minus 2 plus 6 plus 50. Are we following? So this is 54 as our annual demand. So now we do the elasticity, the three elasticities. Price elasticity of demand, which is also called the on-price elasticity. We're dealing what? With good X on X. So since Q is subject to formula, it's simply the gradient for good X times the price for good X over the quantity for good X. Everything is all about X. That's what's called on-price elasticity of demand. So these here show gradients here. So the number before X is what? -2. So we can say the gradient for good X is what? -2. And the gradient for good Y is what? +3. So we put +3, the gradient for good Y. And the gradient for income M is what? +10. We'll put the +10 there. So here, the gradient for good X was what? -2. -2. The price of good X was given as 1 over 54. So we can put the 1 there. 1 times 2 is -2 times 54 is negative 0 point what? 2 divided by 54, we get uh, negative 0.037. So our comment here is inelastic. Anything starting with 0 is inelastic. Then we go to cross price elasticity. We use letter Y, ED, cross. I don't know why we always use X. So it is simply navigating from good X to good Y. So EXY. So it is the gradient for good Y times the price for good Y over the quantity for good X. So this QX annual demand will be used everywhere. So what was the gradient for good Y? +3. What was our price for good Y? It was given as what? 2. And the quantity of our annual demand was 54. So 3 times 2, which is 6. 6 over 54. We get 0.11 positive. So for income and for cross, we are just interested in the sign. If it's a positive for cross price elasticity, we know that is a substitute good. If it's a negative for cross price elasticity, that is a substitute good. MED is income elasticity of demand, or EM if you want, elasticity of income. M stands for income, or Y stands for income, or I stands for income. So the gradient for income, BM, times the actual income, which is M, times the quantity of X. So annual demand. So what was the gradient for good X? Good Y, sorry. The gradient for the income was what? 10. +10. So we have a 10 there. And the actual income was what? 5. A 5 there. And the annual demand was 54. So it is simply 50 divided by 54, which is +0.9. So this is a positive, and it's income, and we still get what? Our comment as a normal good. All right. So my people perished because of lack of knowledge. So the same now applies here. Now this is the 25-mark question that comes. Suppose the demand for a brand of food drink is given by 10 minus px 0.01 I standing for income, and py, y is a good x, where qx is monthly income for fruity in liters, px is the price of per liter for the food drink, I is the income given by 20,000, and PY is a competing brand, which is 2.5. So what is the effect of the changes in PY, PX, and monthly consumption? So this is what I've just been talking about here. All right. This is what I've just been talking about. So what is the first thing you need to do? You need to substitute the given parameters. So the demand equation has been given as follows. Okay. And with the um, with the actual figures given there. So you substitute where the price of good X, you put $2 income, you put 20,000, and good Y, you put um, the 2.5. Okay. Then once you're done with that, you now answer what is the effect on each of them. So you're looking at the coefficients. So price of good X, PX has a coefficient of what? Of -5. So this is a gradient. So what is the effect of an increase in good X? It simply means that for every $1 increase in the PX, so QX will decrease by 5 liters, -5. So holding all things constant. Also, here we're just interpreting the gradient. When we go to I here, it's a positive for income. So what does this mean? It has a positive relationship. So for everyone, a quarter or $1 increase in your income, your quantity will also increase by 0.001 liters, equivalent to almost 1,000 increase in income, okay, per liter. So PY, we have a positive 10. So it means for every $1 increase in the price, there'll be a competing, with a competing brand. Everyone increase in the price of the competing brand, there will be an increase in liters. Okay, so we have positive 10. It's a competing. So if we have an increase by $1, we're going to decrease our quantity by 10 liters. So it's a competing. So in this case, these are different signs. Here there's negative, here there's positive. If there's negative and negative, an increase in one commodity also increase the other because they're moving together. If fuel, the price of fuel goes down, you demand more of fuel and also more of cars. All right. Are we together? Are we following? All right. So we are simply answering this second part here. You need to state the values, the parameter, what is happening, and also you explain that. Okay. So we're told that uh, calculate the part B. We are told at the stated values of the explanatory variables, calculate the monthly consumption in income in gallons of fruit. Okay, so we want to calculate the monthly consumption in liters. Then we go to gallons. So here we just need to plug in the given values. PX was 2, I was 20,000, and PY was 2.5. We just put it in the equation so that we find the annual demand. So liters, okay, how many we're getting per month. So they're asking us to just find what? Q. So when you compute that, you're going to get 40 liters of that. So since our PY was BX was 2.0, I was 20,000, and our PY was that. Just plug in the figures there. So what is our monthly? Our monthly consumption of liters is 45 liters per month. So you need to understand the context of the question. Then part C, they're asking us that supposing that the annual family income increased to 30,000, how does this change your answer in part B? So here, 30,000, you're substituting where there was what? 20,000. What would be the effect? So you just replace that figure there. So instead of putting 30,000, you're going to have what? 20,000 in there. So our consumption monthly will increase from 45 liters to 55 liters. So those who got the pamphlet, you can check the pamphlet on page 16 by referring to it. So we're going to have consumption here where there was 20,000, put 30,000. So we're going to have our liters at 55 liters. Are we following? Are we together? So based on your response, the question goes ahead according to the law of demand. Based on your response referring to the law, does discuss whether it's a normal good or an inferior good. So we said we can only tell whether it's a normal good or it's an inferior good, because if income increases, then quantity also increases. It's a normal good. But if income increases and quantity decreases, it's an inferior good, remember, without calculating. So can we conclude that it's a normal good? Yes, because after increasing the income from 20 to 30, the elite has increased from 5 to 55. So we can safely say this is what? A normal good. All right. Then the question goes further on. As a manager interested in estimating the demand for fruit, aside the variables given in the demand equation, briefly discuss two other factors that may be relevant to estimating demand for fruit. What are some of the other factors of demand, in short, that will affect demand for fruit? We discussed this in our previous class. What are the factors? And you actualize your answers. Okay, tastes and preferences. Okay, changes in consumer preferences, for instance, health trends, advertising and marketing budget. So if there's an increased budget for fruity, there'll be more shift. Then also seasonality, when it's hot, people will buy. Demographics, also family size and distribution. And complementary goods, the prices of snacks that go along with the fruity drink, they will affect the demand. Are we together? Then lastly, but not the least, explain the significance for economic theory, the relationship between price and the perceived quality of fruit. So the significant relationship between price and the perceived quality. Okay, what is the significance? So this was also explained in our previous class. So according to economic theory, if consumers perceive that a high price is indicating better quality, in the instance of Veblen goods, or that goods with asymmetric information, the demand might not follow a typical law of demand. So Veblen goods are goods that people demand more of when the price is high. Okay, they're like precious goods. You want to buy a particular good because of a certain class. If it's cheap, you not buy it. So for fruity, if consumers associate a high price with high quality demand, that might be less elastic, even upward sloping. So the challenges here that may have is the standard law of demand may not apply. So, however, in this case, the estimated coefficient Px is negative, which is indicating 0.5. It suggests that the perceived quality does not dominate the price for fruit, so it behaves like an ordinary good. So this is where we end for today. I will send you homework based on what we have learned today. Thank you so much for your time. We'll meet again in the evening.